Namaste, Jai Bharat. You must have heard the name of Sir Francis Bacon, way back 15th century, something like that, 16th, 15th century, possibly. Francis Bacon wrote a book which is translated as New Organ and other writings, a Novum Organ, and it is called as otherwise. He has a theory of ideology in his book, which was later picked up by many, and of latest in that direction is Antonio Gramsci, who actually repeats Baconian theory of ideology into what is popularly known as hegemony. Some people call it as hegemony, of course, whatever. And Antonio Gramsci wrote the famous book, which is very dear to many leftists, the neo-Marxists, so-called, who were historicists. That book's name is, in Italian, he wrote it as Quaderni, and it's translated into English as Prison Notes. Now, Baconian theory of ideology is interesting. First of all, let's understand what is a concept of ideology. The concept of ideology, or ideology per se, is some systems of thoughts, ideas, thoughts, systems, all mixed up, a set of thinking which is deliberately created, so designed to create an intellectual deception of all people, whosoever is in the society, for social domination. Now the point is to dominate the society by some. Maybe it's one dictator, or maybe it's one dictator and caucus. Mostly it is one dictator and caucus, because without caucus this dictator can't do anything, can't implement his thoughts. And in many times they become a group of people, the dictatorial people. They want to keep the society, the nation society, the people they living there, under some kind of understanding of whatever they design, whatever they want. Now they want the people to believe in it. They want the people to think that whatever they speak is the truth. And to that extent, they have designed some thought system. And those thought systems are put on the minds of people. That's called intellectual deception. They intellectually deceive the people. Whatever may be the ingredients in the intellectual deception is another question. But they intellectually deceive the people, and through such deception, they keep maintaining their social domination. And so ideology becomes intellectual deception for social domination. And much later in Gramsci, he simply changed the name of ideology into hegemony, and that also is designed as intellectual deceptions for social domination. And in case of Gramsci, he uses it as a Marxian apparatus for praxis. Of course, Gramsci's position is to resist hegemony, because he was for praxis. Praxis means practice, and practice means Marxist practice, the communist practice. Marxist party that shall eventually be leading into communist practices. So he calls it as praxis. Of course, this, of course, with the neo-Marxists, you find a lot of jargon, like the Frankfurt School and things like that. Now, again, I would like to speak a little more about Francis Bacon. Bacon speaks of 4 types of ideology. He calls them as idols. 4 types. One is idols of the cave. That is, ideology created right in your houses. Idols of the cave. That is, the house itself has a certain kind of ideology through which the house supremo, or the master of the house, wants to do this intellectual deceptions for house domination. Number 1. But that really is not the case. The cave idol, that is your family, repeats the ultimate idol which the dictator promotes. He comes to the house itself, family itself, cavism. So that ideology, which the social dominator creates and spreads and maintains as ideology, is reflected primarily as ideals of the cave. In most cases, the family supremo, the family leader, must be involving in these ideals of deception inadvertently, not knowingly, not wantingly, not being conscious, but merely as an instrument of the ultimate dictatorial caucus. Let me call this caucus in place of group. That's ideals of the cave. Then he says ideals of the tribe. That's if you have a community. The community authorities are deceived into deceiving the members of the community. The community authorities are ideologies are deceived into deceiving or spreading that ideology to the people concerned, the people belonging to their community. That's number 2. Number 3 is ideals of the marketplace. That's public sphere. Later, Habermas speaks about public sphere. That's public sphere. Now, wherever one interacts with other person, and the place where one interacts to public, there also this ideology gets prevailed by whosoever is the autochthones of in this public place in whichever capacity. They mostly inadvertently, that's mostly unknowingly, inadvertently, they are promoting this ideology, spreading this ideals to the marketplace. So when you at home you are deceived, and at your community you are deceived. When you go out of your house into public sphere, you are deceived there. And then ultimately, ideals of the theatre. Theatre by means of Francis Bacon's time, there was no internet, there was no social media, there were no media, there were no films, and of course there were literature, other things. So all these things put together, Bacon calls it as theatre. That means all the sources of literature, music, poetries, and these days films, dramas, social media, news houses, printing press, media press, books publishers, all these things come under the broad concept of theatre. And that theatre is also governed, designed, and pushed forward by such ideology of intellectual deception for social domination. And this theory is a theory which was written long back, which I think political science students must be reading. Some philosophy students also must be reading who are interested in political philosophy. Yes, another associate, Francis Bacon, that is Machiavelli. I'm not going into that. He speaks similarly in the exact same words, and later you find Gramsci speaking in the same words as neo-Marxists, and Marx himself is speaking about ideology. And it's only when it comes to Lenin, he speaks of a different kind of ideology. Then he creates a concept of ideology which is supposed to be promoting revolutionary practice, and he makes a distinction between then deceiving ideology as negative and revolutionary practice promoting ideology as positive. There's much later which had not made some impact, certain impact, or not made very serious impacts in the geopolitics. Now, why I said this ideological theory is, now you look at Pakistan. With this narrative which I made just now of ideology, look at Pakistan. What is happening in Pakistan? Who deceives whom is very evident. The authority, that's the authority in Pakistan, is primarily army in nexus with the Maulavis, in nexus with the terrorists. These three are primary. Army is the one, they have their own interest, their own thought system. They want to deceive the common public of Pakistan into all kinds of things, and they are doing it very successfully. They have an instrument, additional instrument, through which their ideology can operate, and that additional instrument is religion. And to that extent, the Maulavis are put to use, and Maulavis themselves are not very conscious that they are spreading such ideology. They are victims of it. Of course, they enjoy being victims because their survival is that, and they live by that in luxury. The point is that living in luxury without working, and that's very interesting in Pakistan. It's interesting in Pakistani society. They don't want to work. They want to get things. They want someone to put roti in the mouth. They wouldn't believe in earning and living. They believe in doing anything and living. And to that extent, they all got habituated or acclimatized and attuned with speaking lies with conviction. And that's an interesting position. Speaking lies with conviction is that you speak very thoroughly lies with the utmost belief that you are not speaking lies. These lies you may not create, somebody creates and spreads it as ideology. You repeat it as conviction. So, Pakistani society is one such society who speaks lies with conviction, which must be a new phenomenon in the entire world, speaking lies with conviction. And they, of course, have the instruments of religion above their head, like the sword of Damocles. So, this ideology happens in the army. Army is the one principal agency of maintaining this ideology, intellectual deception for social domination. Number two is, I would call that the religion, the religious autochthones, the Maulavis, who would do this at the interest and at the instance of army. They want a comfortable living, so they repeat this. And with the army, they won't go for a contradiction or conflict with the army, and the army, more so, will never go for a conflict with the Maulavis. And they all continuously start speaking, quoting from their books. And every step they would call about inshallah, mashallah, this thing and that thing. And suddenly they will appeal to emotions, saying that it's his wishes. He will do everything. Let Bharat come to attack Pakistan, he will save. Now, this kind of narratives, it's very soothing on imagination, very quick to soothe on imagination. It's quick to suppress people into believing, because they also believe. That's the Maulavi sector. Now, the third interesting aspect is the terrorists. There is a section which is a society, which is a section in their society. They are the terrorists, and the terrorists are real international citizens. Like the communists aspire for a communist international. They have songs, communist international song. There's a song, communist international song, and they had, I think, two internationals. The one was in Paris. They have the international, because communists aspire for international society, that is statelessness, classlessness, etc., 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 lawlessness, of course, and that's what they call it as anarchy. So these terrorists are very international citizens, international people. They have been funded by people all over the globe who think that they are doing a most holy thing, jihad, the holy thing they think, and their funds come freely to the terrorists like anything. And this army is a parasite on terrorists. So, in order to be a parasite on terrorists, the army has to facilitate terrorism. They can't help it. They cannot speak anything against them. They cannot stop them, because it's a question of their survival. Speaking against terrorists by a Pakistani army is suicidal. Therefore, the ISI is in tandem with the terrorist movement. They facilitate and they will do everything. To the extent of army officers dressing up in uniform and going for the burial of the terrorists, and they covered the terrorist coffins with their Pakistani national flag. And these things we have seen recently in media post Pahalgam attack. So this is the situation of the army. Now, the fourth element, the fourth estate of Pakistan is that the most hapless, the most helpless are the democratically elected puppets. Baboons, they will have to dance according to the tune of the army. So who's really villain in this is no one can say. One better than the other of the villains there, including the democratically elected puppets, sorry, I didn't mean to call them that, but puppets, democratically elected puppets, who would just keep dancing at the tune. And they all have, of course, they are all involved in this business, this trade. It's actually a kind of trade, because after some time of such existence, they would amass some considerable amount of wealth, and they will put it in some other country where they think there is no Islamic law. Here they will want Islamic law, they will want all those things, they will want jihad, they will want to speak of Jannat. They will go to a place where such things don't exist. and they would like to live as they feel like. So this, of course, is normal for Pakistanis to have self-deception and double standard. Their leaders, I'm talking about. Now, the real heroes of Pakistan are the common Pakistanis. They do not know what's happening. Everyone takes them for a ride. Real ideological deception, as imagined, as envisaged by right from Francis Bacon to Antonio Gramsci, is vibrantly active in Pakistani society. Look at the situation. Everyone deceives everyone, and speaking lies is so naturally coming. They speak lies with conviction. Look at this person, Bilawal Sardari, whose mother was Benazir Bhutto, whose father was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, whose father was the Prime Minister of Junagadh in Gujarat, Bharat. Sheikh Ali Bhutto, something, I forgot his name. This descendant, this Bilawal, spontaneously speaks lies, such lies, and very recently had gone to US copying the Bharat's delegation of different parties to many countries to explain the situation in Pakistan. And then look, he could speak lies just like that. And then when he's caught, it makes no difference to him. The next place he goes and repeats the same story. It makes no difference. They are immune to being caught for speaking lies. Question of shame does not exist, because that's how they have been programmed, patterned. So this is a nation where people suffer. They suffer under such typical ideology. They do not know. They do not know that they have been taken for a ride. They do not know that they are speaking nonsense. Look at the people. Look at the Pakistani social media narratives. Look at the media narratives. We have everything. They start telling that Pakistan has got immense talent, capabilities. We can do this, we can do that. And someone was telling that Pakistani satellites are there, up above in the space, which gives us the accurate positions of Bharatiya positions, which they have thoroughly bombarded. They just destroyed Bharat. They all say that they have destroyed Bharat. They all say that nothing happened to Pakistan because they do not know. Whatever happened in whichever places in Pakistan, they do not know. They have never been told. And those who suffered, they suffer quietly. Those who died, there no one knows that they died. This kind of things go on. So they think that they have won all the war. 4 wars, they fought with Bharat, they say. And they won all the wars, they say. And this present war also they won, they say. Now, who is trying to tell them that you are wrong? Let's not try to tell them that you are wrong. Let's let them believe that they have done everything. They have great people. They have great scientists. They have created nuclear weapons. Actually, Pakistan never made a single nuclear weapon in their entire life. It's US which kept their nuclear arsenal in places like Noor Khan, and kept it in their underground storage facilities, which they have made. The US has made. Pakistan has got nothing in it, but they take credit. They can't do anything with it. They just can't. And they thought the Chinese defense system would save them, but they could not. They failed, and they still don't know. People don't know that these things happen. Some fraction of thoughts here and there comes, and they won't believe it. They will believe what's smoothing or soothing on their imagination. And of course, Pakistan, and that's a different story. Pakistan is not very happy with China. They can't be happy, but then can't speak to them because they're the boss. They give them things for free. Otherwise, Pakistan have nothing, not except donkeys, what they have. So this is the situation in Pakistan. One can only take pity about such society, such people. The fundamental mistake is that they, citing the name of religion, went away from Bharat at the whims and fancies of some very funny people who were extremely fundamentalistic and fanatics. They created a Pakistan and they destroyed the people who were living in that areas of Pakistan, plus those who migrated from other parts of Bharat to Pakistan for Paki, that is pure place, and their generations are suffering. That's no one can help them now. It's things which they asked for. We shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.